Hi, this is Chris Voss here from the Chris Voss Show.com, the Chris Voss Show.com. Hey, we're coming here with another podcast. Of course, we have the most excellent guests. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and neighbors, relatives to subscribe to the show as well, your business friends in the office. They can go to Google Play, iTunes, now on Spotify as well. They can go to youtube.com/Chris Voss and hit that bell notification button so they get all the notifications of all the shows that come on the podcasts. And, of course, all the reviews we do of the AT&T phones, the Siberian Huskies, and everything that is on the channel. Anyway, we've got another wonderful show with you here today. We have two co-founders or founders of the company called Sylo, Ben and Dorian. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you today?
Great. Cheers for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Good to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. So you guys have founded this company and started it. Tell us about Sylo, what it is, how it works, and why it works.
Great. You or me?
Jump in.
So our product Sylo is a confidential communication product. So we started out in confidential communication for professionals. And in more recent times, we've transitioned to creating what's called a fully decentralized means of communication. So now through the Sylo network, when you communicate, you're not actually communicating through a company or a single entity. You're communicating what's called peer-to-peer, so directly from one person to another. So now it's about privacy, it's about confidentiality, and it's about retaining ownership of your information, which is a big problem that we noticed when we were, dealing with our friends and businesses online, and it's something that we really were passionate about solving.
So
it's a place
everything's private. I believe, if I recall, the messages are stored on your phone. They're encrypted. So it's a way to make sure that if you're having business conversations with or conversations with people that you want to stay private, you don't want it shared on like the Apple cloud, if you then you can have that luxury and confidentiality.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and it's not just about dealing with your friends. It's also about dealing with businesses. So one of the things that has happened is, in the last 20 years, we've developed all of these amazing features, and we're also connected now. But what's happened is that all of that information has been collected by the service provider that you're using. So we think the next step is about facilitating the same kind of interactions with businesses and yourself without needing all that information stored in one place. So we can move away from the advertising model. We can move away from extracting data from users, and we can move into kind of a new era where businesses can provide the value that you think they are providing instead of giving you a free service and then extracting data out of you, which we think is quite a big shift.
Well, there's a lot of different examples of breaches of data, not only from hacking, but like the iCloud. Even there was a lot of celebrities had their pictures stolen off their messaging service on the Apple iCloud. And so, would you say you guys are kind of like what services or apps would you guys say you guys are in competition with? You guys compete with?
Yeah, so we're in competition, I guess, with some of the big boys. So we are the product that you can download from the App Store is a messenger. So you can think Facebook, you can think WeChat is the Chinese equivalent. You can also think things like WhatsApp. But it's also a toolkit for businesses. So if you're a developer or if you're a business owner and you want to build communications into your product, you can actually pick up our tools, use them in your product very easily. And what you're doing is you're providing to your users the ability for them to retain ownership of the information that they're sending you. So you can think of that in terms of, what's an example? So let's say you're a call center provider and you want to provide support for a product that you're selling. You can now provide support for that product in a way that doesn't mean that you have to gather up all that information from your users. And we're seeing that as being a really, really cool kind of way for businesses to show that they're on their users' side. Yeah, as a bit of a value add for them.
So are you guys the retail end of the messenger, or is there an API that I can use, like you're talking about, where I can use so I can do some sort of build to say I'm an accountant and I want to have private client confidential things, or an attorney? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's two key elements to it. There's the user-facing app, which is, you can jump in, grab the messenger, and use it for communication needs. But there's also the protocol layer, which is the other area we're focusing, which Ben just alluded to, which enables other developers to build communication into their products, whatever type of product application it is. It enables them to plug in via API communication functionality in a decentralized way. So we've got the two elements. So we're very much going to be pushing the front-facing application into market to really enhance the user's experience. But we've also got the focus on developers and businesses to enhance whatever it is they're looking to offer. And that's the bigger play for us.
So the real core is my messages stored on my phone. They're encrypted, so it's really hard for anybody to get access to that. And they're probably stored, I guess, I don't know if would the term be end to end, where it's stored on their phone, my phone. If I'm an attorney with I want attorney-client privileges, and I don't want, maybe communications of stuff going up onto the internet, this is a great way where I can have communications that are stored very securely with my client and know that I'm honoring my my agreements or my fiduciary duty with them, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you've hit the nail on the head with respect to the professional use case. So we've actually the product's been in market for over 2 years now, and that was our focus on the professional use case. So we found a big kind of gap in the market where one-to-one communications where it was actually quite difficult to guarantee that what you were saying was confidential for a professional use case without kind of going and setting up your own servers and building your own IT team to to deploy that kind of infrastructure. So yeah, the application that's in market, Sylo, is you download it from the App Store, and then instantly your business is set up for confidential communication if you need it for one-to-one communications with your clients. So yeah, there's a legal use case. We also found a lot of traction with respect to kind of mental health use cases and that side of things. But yeah, now the business is taking that technology, and we're more positioning it for consumers. And what that's given us the ability to do is to roll the product out a lot more broadly, and we've brought in some really cool functionality in the blockchain space and cryptocurrency, so that the product can evolve from a one-to-one confidential messenger to much more of a platform play where businesses can build different features and functionalities and bundle them into a messaging application, much like Facebook Messenger or WeChat with their connected apps. So now our users don't have to be professionals who need that for their professional communication needs. They can be, you and I, and we just want to be able to use a platform that respects our privacy, and we want to benefit from being able to interact with a whole range of different businesses that we know also respect our privacy. So yeah, it's been quite a shift for us, but yeah, it's going really well, and we're really excited about the progress we're making.
Awesome. Is it built on the blockchain technologies, or?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Yeah. So a core piece of the whole product now is we're utilizing the blockchain to ensure that there isn't a single controlling party. So when you use Sylo, it's not like you're giving everything that you own to Sylo. You're just contributing to the network, and that's what the blockchain allows us to do. So yeah, that's quite a shift, and it played really nicely with what we'd already developed. So we developed this confidential communication, a means of communicating. But yeah, the blockchain as a technology actually allows us to take that a whole step further. And now it's not just about protecting what you say; it's about actually creating a network that allows all, a whole range of different computers to cooperate so that everybody can communicate confidentially without relying on a Facebook.
So what are the industries that you're finding are utilizing your product most so far?
So the largest adoption we've had for the existing product, it's been mentioned as professional segments. So mental health practitioners, lawyers, financial advisors, accountants, insurance agents, the parties that really practiced confidentiality offline, but then were jumping online and using a centralized service that was holding a record of their communications in a third-party location, which was technically a breach of confidentiality. So we had a lot of uptake from those segments, but now we're very much moving into the consumer space as well, branching out that functionality so that in addition to communication, we bring in other elements that really are going to add value to people's lives, things they're akin to using in these mainstream platforms now, but it's just based on an architecture that's not about capturing as much data as possible and finding a way to exploit that. It's about providing those same features, those same functionalities, and having the knowledge that that information is not being used for an ulterior motive. It's direct, it's point to point, and it's value provision, not value exploitation.
I imagine the blockchain is a real key element of that, and being able to create that sort of confidentiality. I think that's brilliant what you guys are doing, and brilliant use of the blockchain, and in ensuring that people can, be confidential. There's a lot of stuff that goes on today with like corporate spying, corporate communications, board of directors. I know that are have to be worried about stuff being leaked out to the press, or financial issues, where they're announcing financials or talking between each other. I imagine there's a lot of that going on. There's probably a lot of that in government, where people are having to be ultra private in what they're talking about, what they're doing, and everything else. So and it's more and more when I talk to people are becoming, even in the consumer side of things, they're becoming aware that they're being tracked. Anytime I look up something, search something, suddenly I'll start seeing ads in it. Messenger from Facebook. Clearly he's listening to me. Gmail's listening to me. I'll have a conversation on either two of those platforms, and suddenly start seeing ads pop up, and I'm like, you are spying on me. And people are becoming very aware of it and concerned about it, and starting to opt out. I've got some friends that they're just, I'm not sure paranoid is the right word, but they're definitely concerned about, hey, I don't really want to be watched. I don't want to be tracked. And it's not that they don't have it. It's just that they don't want some database with all the records of everything they do.
And the interesting thing on that, Chris, as well, is, you used to use the word paranoid, but the reality is you're not really being paranoid, because it is happening in the background. And, from our perspective as well, some of these platforms provide amazing services and features. But, we think as a user, you should have the choice. You should be able to conduct particular communications or actions on a platform where you know how it's working, and you can use another platform where it does respect your confidentiality, and the mandate isn't to extract absolutely everything. And I guess the issue at the moment is, 99% of the platforms out there that you're using are based on this model and the centralized architecture. So what we're trying to introduce is, a similar feature set or functionality line that users are used to, that doesn't use that same model. It's from what we see it as just a better way of doing things. It's it's the next evolution. It's realizing, hey, people want all these features. They want to enhance their day-to-day life with digital communications, but it's also a human behind those screens. The default shouldn't be treating them as a product. We should be able to provide these services without logging and flogging everything we possibly can. And it's, I think it's just a logical progression, with all these, the general public is becoming more and more aware with all these scandals and all these hacks and all these information leaks, and people are starting to look for those alternatives. And there's a real lack of them at the moment. And we're kind of trying to usher in that new wave. And we're approaching it from a very collaborative point of view as well. So we're already working with about a dozen different projects, so that when we push this into market, it's not just going to be a one-shot pony. We're going to have quite an extensive functionality set. So it'll be one of the more comprehensive decentralized applications you'll see in market coming out in 2019.
Cool. I think it's awesome. You guys are using the blockchain and making this happen. I think more and more people, as they become aware of how much they are the product of a lot of these companies like Facebook, that their their information is being sold, the hacking, and I think hacking is just going to keep getting worse. I mean, it seems way too often now. I get my pound email. I think that's how you pronounce it, where it's from the pound service that lets me know that, hey, your passwords from the Walmart hack, or whichever one of these popular hacks that have happened to a lot of people. Hey, your password's on the thing, and what's interesting is every time someone posts that on the dark web, the lists of the hacked emails and stuff from whatever company let these things through, my accounts get hit with people trying to test the passwords to see if I change the passwords. And it's really a pain in the butt, because I'll get these emails that say, you've had multiple attempts to your account, and it's like, oh great, someone's testing the thing because they got posted. It's getting really old with this stuff. So I love the fact that it's kept local and in my control and in my stuff, so that if anybody does ever get access to, I don't know, my passwords or something like that, at least I know that it's encrypted on my phone, and I have some control over it. My data is just not floating out in space somewhere that people can pick up and run with.
And I guess the other key piece on that as well is, by the sheer nature of distributed or decentralized technologies, gives you a layer of protection there. I mean, think of centralized like you've got one big gold mine of a whole bunch of user data. It's a very, very appealing target. If an attacker gets in, they've got a pot of gold there with a big trove. And in scenarios where you're using decentralized technologies, you have to be a lot more specifically targeted. So they'd have to be going after Chris specifically, as opposed to going after a server with 1 million users, and then they just get your data by default. So there's other elements to it, but just that basic architecture provides an extra layer of confidentiality, or a barrier to being vulnerable.
Yeah, I definitely would want a messenger service if I was walking around DEF CON.
Yeah,
something to check around that place. Of course, they say when you go to DEF CON, the conference for DEF CON, you want to not only take your phone, you want to turn your phone off, but you want to remove the SIM card and the battery.
Yeah. It's getting crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to DEF CON, you kind of start realizing how crazy it is out there, and the access some of these guys can have in being able to hack your stuff. But I think it's awesome you guys have this breaking down. What type of encryption is it that it saves it as? I'll just let you guys tell me what it's using.
Yeah, so what you want to look for when you're using a communication service is you want to make sure that your communications are end-to-end encrypted. So what that means is that they are literally encrypted from one end to another, as opposed to going somewhere being unencrypted and sitting there so that they can be kind of looked at and then being re-encrypted when they're sent. Yeah, so end-to-end encryption is the answer to that.
There's some users that it's kind of encrypting your end. When you send it, it's flying through the air unencrypted. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, more often it's encrypted while it's on its way, but it's not going directly. So when you're using say Google services, the reason that they can scan all that information and give you recommendations about what products you might want to buy, or a whole range of things, is because your messages sit on their servers unencrypted. So that gives them the ability to look through it all, and then for them to say, hey Chris, you like this, how about you buy it? So yeah, once you start using services that are end-to-end encrypted, the ability for the company to kind of have a look through all that stuff and figure out what it is that you might want to purchase next, but it becomes a lot harder. And then the second part of that is there's a big movement now, especially with software development, to go more to an open source model. So what that means is that all the code can be looked at and all the code can be reviewed. So people that are in the know can actually see exactly what happens with everything, as opposed to using a like a proprietary product. That code stays behind the scenes, and you really don't know what's happening at all.
So with your guys' service, the coders can get in, they can see the API, they can see the back end, and using your toolkit, they can take and build it. And so they know what's going on. They know that suddenly they're not going to get surprised by like, oh, wow, somebody blah, blah, blah has their data. And they can control it with that toolkit, and they can take and either use it like maybe an internal, so like say I was a corporate board of directors, and I'm like, we got to have control of our own sort of private communication network. This would be a great way to take and do something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So so they could pick up our software, change it if they needed to suit their use case exactly, and then they can make sure that their communications use the Sylo network, so that ensures the confidentiality of it and makes sure it works, because there's a lot of there's many parties who are contributing to the Sylo network. So they get the benefit of being able to plug into that, but also they know exactly what's going on because they can have a look through all the code.
Awesome. Awesome sauce. All right, guys. Well, go ahead and tell us where we can find Sylo on the internet and the links we can go to.
Cool. So we're the existing product in market, as we alluded to, the confidential communication application, primarily adopted by professionals. That's available in your mainstream app stores. So you can just go ahead and search Sylo Confidential. You'll find that pretty easily in any major app store. In terms of the fully decentralized application, we released the closed alpha about 8 weeks ago, and we'll be releasing the public beta of the fully decentralized, which we're calling the DApp, before Christmas, which people will be able to get their hands on. We're currently going through a token event, and we'll be releasing it as soon as that completes. Which will let people jump in at that point. Yeah,
so you can find out all the information on everything at sylo.io. So sylo.io.
Sounds good, guys. Well, thanks to Ben and Dorian for coming by today. We certainly appreciate you guys. Be sure to check out their apps on the website or on your. It's on the Apple iPhone. Is it also on Google right now?
It is. Yep.
Cool. And be sure to check them out. And also, we appreciate you guys as an audience tuning in today. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button. Also, take and go to Google Play, iTunes if you haven't subscribed there, and Spotify. You can do that. And of course, with any great podcast app. Thanks to my audience and everyone for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Cheers. Thanks a lot.